What if I told you that for over a century, society has been quietly shaping children to become compliant workers rather than creative thinkers? And most parents don't even realize it's happening. What if I told you that your child's natural curiosity, imagination, and boldness are slowly conditioned out of them by environments designed to reward obedience over originality? This isn't conspiracy, it's history. In 1902, John D. Rockefeller helped fund the General Education Board with a now infamous sentiment: "I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers." And whether consciously or not, the education model that followed perfectly reflected that goal. Children were organized like units, scheduled by bells, trained to memorize, discouraged from deviating, and rewarded for quiet compliance. The Industrial Revolution needed bodies, not minds. And so school became less about awakening intelligence and more about maintaining order. But today, the world has changed. The child who simply follows directions gets replaced by AI. The one who thinks differently becomes the innovator, the leader, the strategist, the creator. The future belongs to thinkers, and the responsibility to cultivate them begins not with teachers, but with parents, with you. A follower learns what to think. A thinker learns how to think. A follower waits for instructions. A thinker experiments, questions, explores. A follower fits in. A thinker stands out. And here is the uncomfortable truth. When a child asks why, most adults just want the behavior to stop. They want quiet, they want compliance, they want efficiency, not exploration. But when you tell a child, "because I said so," or "just follow the rule," something in them contracts. A boundary gets drawn around imagination. Their brain begins to learn. It's safer not to question. It's easier not to think. It's better to just get it right. So the real transformation begins when you start raising your child not to echo the world, but to challenge it. Not to blend into the crowd, but to develop their own voice, their own lens, their own way of thinking, observing, and expressing. And that starts with questioning authority, not rejecting it, but analyzing it. It starts with asking, does this make sense? Is this true? Is there another way to see it? When a school system rewards memorization, your home must reward curiosity. When society asks for conformity, your home must nurture creativity. When culture encourages self-doubt, your home must build inner conviction. But first, I want to ask you, how old is your child right now? And do you feel they are learning to think for themselves or just learning to please authority? Leave a comment below. I genuinely want to hear your experience. And your comment may help another parent reflect on their own patterns. And if you're already seeing the depth and value of this conversation, I invite you to subscribe to the Parenting Blueprint, because here, we don't raise obedient children, we raise empowered ones. Children with voice, with insight, with mental strength. Let's look honestly at the structure of modern schooling, not to attack teachers, but to understand the system they themselves are trapped inside. A child walks into school full of energy, ideas, imagination, and in many cases, year by year, that brightness dims. They're not told to think, they're told to remember. They're not asked what they believe, they're asked to repeat what someone else decided is true. They're not rewarded for creativity, they're rewarded for correct answers. From the very beginning, children learn quickly that questioning slows the class down, that thinking differently is inconvenient, that being curious is disruptive to the standardized pace. So when a child asks, "But why?" the teacher, pressured by curriculum timing, testing expectations, administrative targets, and overcrowded classrooms, simply doesn't have the time to nurture that spark. Slowly, subtly, question by question, curiosity becomes annoyance. Creativity becomes sidetracked. Daydreaming, which is visual imagination, gets labeled as distraction. And at the subconscious level, the child learns something dangerous. There is no reward for thinking beyond the box. Schools were modeled after factories. One supervisor, many units of labor, following instructions, moving in sync. Think of how children line up, how they sit in rows, how they move by bells, how they must ask permission to even use their own biological functions. These habits train compliance. They train self-monitoring. They train suppression of impulse, emotion, and personal rhythm. So what happens over time? Many children begin to prioritize pleasing authority over expressing authenticity. They learn to silence their own perspective. They learn to be externally guided rather than internally driven. They become afraid to be wrong, which is one of the most devastating psychological conditions a learner can have. And let's be clear, children are not failing the system. The system is failing them. The child who challenges the teacher's explanation is not a problem. They are a thinker in development. The child who wants to build instead of listen is not off task. They are a future engineer. The child who asks 3 layers of why is not stalling. They are exercising intellectual depth. But the system lacks the flexibility to honor these traits. Here's something quietly heartbreaking. Many children stop thinking they are smart, not because they lack intelligence, but because their intelligence doesn't match the rigid format the school rewards. A child who thinks visually or spatially or creatively or intuitively learns to devalue their own mind simply because it doesn't fit the standardized mold. And this is where your role as a parent becomes revolutionary. You become the counterforce. You become the voice that says, your mind is expansive. Your curiosity is valuable. Your questions matter. You become the environment that restores what the system suppresses. When you give your child space to think out loud, when you encourage perspectives instead of just answers, when you allow them to explore multiple truths rather than one official narrative, you're showing them that thinking is not a burden. It is a power. So how do we awaken a thinker inside your child? It begins with something subtle, how you respond to their curiosity. When your child asks a question, most adults instinctively provide an answer. But thinkers are not built by being given conclusions. Thinkers are built by being given space. So instead of jumping in with an explanation, invite exploration. Ask, what do you think? Let them hypothesize, even if it's inaccurate. Let them wander through their thought process. Let them experiment with reasoning. Their young mind needs room to stretch. Another powerful approach is to let your child witness your thinking process. When you doubt an article, or question a policy, or reassess a belief, share that mental journey with them. Say things like, I'm trying to decide what I think about this, or I'm not sure that explanation is complete. When they see you engaging in critical reflection, they learn that adults don't know everything. They figure things out. That realization is liberating. It shows them that knowledge is not static, it is dynamic. Your home can become an incubator for independent thought simply by making disagreement safe. If a child must always agree with the parent to avoid conflict, they will never learn to articulate differing viewpoints. But if they can say, I don't think that's true, or I see this differently, and instead of facing emotional backlash, they encounter curiosity, now you are raising someone with intellectual backbone. And let's talk about praise. Most children grow up hearing praise for outcomes. Good job getting an A. But thinkers need praise for process. I love how deeply you considered that. You came up with your own solution. That's impressive. When you shift your praise from obedience to cognitive exploration, the child starts valuing their thinking over their compliance. They stop trying to be correct and start trying to understand. Then there is emotional resilience, a cornerstone of thinking. When your child expresses an opinion that others reject, they will feel discomfort. The follower will shrink. The thinker will persist. So teach them to withstand social pressure. Teach them that discomfort is not danger. Teach them that standing in their perspective is an act of strength. A strong mind requires a strong heart to support it. Exposure to diverse viewpoints also fuels thinking, but it doesn't need to happen through textbooks. It can happen simply through conversation, through stories, through travel, through hearing multiple interpretations of a situation. Show them that truth is layered, that perspective is fluid, that many answers can exist simultaneously, depending on the lens through which you look. And encourage creation, because thinking is not just internal, it is expressive. When your child builds something, writes something, invents something, imagines something, they are engaged in applied cognition. They're not just receiving information, they are generating it. Many children grow up only consuming content, never creating it. They are surrounded by media, but rarely in control of making something real. Creation makes a child feel like an agent instead of an observer. See, your child is not waiting to become an adult before they can think. They are thinking now. They are building neural pathways now. And every moment you stimulate curiosity rather than obedience, you are strengthening those pathways. You are literally shaping their cognitive circuitry. Thinking differently is powerful, but speaking that difference aloud is where true strength emerges. So how do we help a child develop courage of thought? It begins with self-trust. A child will not express their ideas if they've repeatedly learned that their ideas are dismissed, corrected, or mocked. But when you respond with genuine curiosity, when you treat their reasoning as worthy of consideration, they begin to trust their own mind. And a person who trusts their own mind becomes unstoppable. Children need to feel that their thoughts matter, not only when they are correct, but when they are exploring. When they say something wild or imaginative, don't shut it down with logic. Let them venture into speculation. Let their imagination roam, because imagination is not childish. It is the earliest form of innovation. Every invention started as someone thinking wrong by conventional standards. Then there's bravery. A thinker must sometimes stand apart. They might have an opinion that differs from the teacher, from peers, even from you. And in that moment, your reaction teaches them one of two things: either that disagreement is unsafe or that disagreement is allowed. If you can maintain openness, if you can respond with, "Tell me more," you are teaching them that different perspectives are not threats, but treasures. Let them struggle intellectually. Let them defend their viewpoint. Let them change their viewpoint too. Thinking is not rigidity, it is flexibility. It is the willingness to revise understanding in light of new information. A follower seeks certainty. A thinker seeks clarity. Many children silently censor themselves. They notice hypocrisy but don't mention it. They question rules but don't articulate it. They observe inconsistencies but stay quiet because they don't believe their voice has weight. But when a child is encouraged to notice patterns, to ask, "Does this align?" to speak up when something doesn't feel right, they begin practicing a kind of internal authority. And perhaps the most important part, thinkers must learn how to be wrong without collapsing. The follower fears being wrong because being wrong threatens identity. The thinker accepts being wrong as part of growth. If you treat errors as shameful, children will cling desperately to correctness. But if you treat errors as stepping stones, they become learners rather than pretenders. They would rather understand than perform. Confidence is not loud, it is steady. You cultivate it not by pushing your child forward, but by helping them stand firmly on their own intellectual legs. Ask them what they notice. Ask them what stands out. Ask them what feels off. Show them that intuition is part of thinking, not opposed to it. We often say we want children to think outside the box, but then we give them boxes at every stage. The box of school rules, the box of social norms, the box of cultural conditioning, the box of right answers. But the truly great thinkers are the ones who don't just peek over the box, they dissolve it entirely. They redraw the boundaries, they redefine what is possible. And you, as a parent, have a profound opportunity. You can create a home where thinking is treasured, where curiosity flourishes, where questions are sacred, where ideas have space to breathe. You can raise a child who is not afraid to say, "I see this differently." That child will not be led blindly. That child will not disappear into crowds. That child will not be manipulated by trends or intimidated by authority. That child will become a conscious participant in the world, not a passive consumer of it. When you begin to raise a thinker instead of a follower, something subtle but profound happens in your home. Conversations shift from directives to dialogues. Learning shifts from passive to active. Respect shifts from obedience to mutual regard. your child begins to come to you not just for permission, but for perspective. And you begin to witness a mind awakening, not as a fragile flame, but as a steady fire. Because a thinker doesn't simply absorb reality, they interpret it. A thinker doesn't merely consume knowledge, they generate it. A thinker doesn't take the world as given, they reshape it. And for them to become that, they need you to stand not as a judge of their thoughts, but as a companion to them. They don't need you to be the expert. They need you to be the encourager, the challenger, the co-explorer. And here is something many parents don't realize. Your energy around thinking becomes their internal permission slip. If your child senses that curiosity annoys you, they will suppress it. But if they sense that curiosity delights you, they will amplify it. If they feel that disagreement threatens you, they will avoid it. But if they feel that disagreement engages you, they will develop the courage to express it. Your reaction becomes their blueprint for intellectual courage. You are not raising someone to just function in society. You are raising someone to contribute to it, not just to adapt, but to transform, not just to follow, but to envision. And in a world increasingly influenced by algorithms, media conditioning, and social echo chambers, thinkers become not just valuable, they become necessary. So let your home be a space of ideas, not just instructions. Let it be full of questions, not just answers. Let it encourage creative risks, not just predictable habits. Let it welcome originality, even when it's messy or inconvenient. And most importantly, treat your child's mind not as something to control, but as something to cultivate. If you found this video eye-opening and you're committed to raising thinkers, not followers, I invite you to subscribe to the Parenting Blueprint, because we are building a community of parents who refuse to outsource their child's mind to systems of conformity. And I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you will do starting today to encourage deeper thinking and curiosity in your child? Because in the end, your child is not here to simply fill a role designed by someone else. They are here to leave a mark, to bring new ideas, to challenge old assumptions, to expand possibilities. And you, through your daily interactions, your responses, your encouragement, are shaping the mind that will one day shape the world. Your child is not a robot to be programmed. They are a consciousness to be awakened.